So we're gonna talk about love and Sufism and what um, Seyyed Hossein Nasr talks about love in his book The Garden of Truth. And first of all, he tells us that there are four stages of love. It's on page number 63 and 64. It tells us about four stages of love. The first one, and then the second one, and then the third one, and then the last one, the fourth, the highest form of love. He starts from the lowest form of love and goes towards the highest form of love. So he talks about love in a way that he interconnects all of these forms from first to the other, and then to the third, and then to the fourth. So the first stage of love is the love for the being itself, the love of self, जिसको हम कहते हैं खुद ही मैं मुझे मेरा मेरे लिए me mine. Why not me, why not mine? um, what was wrong with me, and what happened to me, and what gonna happen to me, and what can happen to me, happenings me. और इन सब की amalgamation से जो कुछ भी निकलता है, because these are not just sentences, these are the feelings. मुझे क्यों नहीं comes with hell lot of feelings. मेरा क्यों नहीं, मेरे लिए, मुझे, मैं. All of these sentences comes up with lots of feelings, like the feelings के जिनके ऊपर हम पूरी ज़िंदगी भी खर्च कर दें तो हम समझ ना पाएँ, या फिर अगर समझ पाएँ तो उसका एक बहुत टुकड़ा समझ पाएँ, बिल्कुल उतना टुकड़ा जितना हम एक्सेप्ट करते हैं खुद में. when we say we have accepted and we have fully accepted ourselves. It is like a pod, a peanut pod, love and acceptance of self. When we say we accept ourselves, it is just that peanut pod. जबकि peanut अभी अंदर है, the real self, the higher self अभी अंदर है उस pod के, उस peanut के. When we say we have accepted ourselves, most of the times we have accepted those traits of ourselves, or those identities, a few identities from those um, plethora of identities. When someone says that I am, um, the best example here I can give is that I am bisexual, someone says, और फिर वो कहता है I've accepted myself. तो क्या वाकई ही में उसने अपने पूरे के पूरे सेल्फ को एक्सेप्ट कर लिया? और मेरे ख्याल से ये बात कहना भी एक एब्सर्डिटी होगी. इट वुड बी टू मिनिमलाइज योर सेल्फ जस्ट टू योर सेक्सुअलिटी. when you say that you are a bisexual person, or you are वो फलां दौर वाला romantic, or you are even you, when you say you are Sufi, is to bound yourself with that certain identity, with that trait of you. Even when I say I'm Sufi, I tell that I am that ethical Sufi, not practical Sufi. So when we say कि हम ये हैं, तो अक्सर हम वो होते तो हैं मगर वही नहीं होते. So to say that we have accepted ourselves, sometimes we have accepted just that minimal part of us. वो एक बहुत छोटा सा हिस्सा हमने अपना accept किया होता है, और उसको हम पूरा सेल्फ कहते हैं, और हम सेल्फ को मिनिमलाइज करते हैं एक चीज़ में, और फिर हम उस मिनिमलाइजेशन से अपनी ईगोज़ को पैदा करते हैं, सेल्फ ईगो को पैदा करते हैं. और उस ईगो इस आई कैन से इंडिविजुअल ईगो को हम कभी आगे बढ़ने नहीं देते. एंड वी स्टॉप द वे ऑफ लर्निंग, वी स्टॉप दैट रोड, दैट होल मैप, वी कट दैट होल मैप फ्रॉम और पाथ, कि जहाँ से हम आगे निकलें, जहाँ से हम सेल्फ को सरपास करें. when we say we love ourselves, so the love of self is the lowest form of love, because it stops you from being yourself. I know it is an absurd thing to say that the love of self stops you from the love of self, but in Sufism everything is different. Like there is a notion of there is a notion called, I think, negative notion. When you say God is not wise, uh, that's a very, ये क्या बात हुई? God is not wise. Um, but the thing is, how can you say God is wise? Wisdom is, or we can say, विजडम तो हमारी एक conception है. हमने एक concept पैदा किया wisdom के लिए. That's what wisdom is. And now how can we apply this concept on God? यू गेटिंग मी? लाइक विजडम तो हमारा कॉन्सेप्ट है ना, लाइक हम कहते हैं ये वाइस है वो वाइस है, बट हमने किस तरह निकाला ये विजडम का पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट के एक सच है और ये सच की गहराई तक पहुंच रहा है और ये क्या मामलात को अच्छे तरीके से इस तरह से तय कर रहा है कि उसका आउटकम इसको पहले से असेस कर पाए भी। तो अब हम जब ये कहते हैं तो फिर हम वो जो ह्यूमन नोशन ऑफ विजडम है वो गॉड पे अप्लाई करने की कोशिश कर रहे होते हैं। सो दैट्स द रीजन देयर इज a negative notion that God is not wise, and there is another one which is I think so called God is not wise. Um, it is to say God is wise and at the same time not wise. Not wise because of our conception of wisdom, and wise because of his conception of wisdom, because he is wise at the end, but he is not wise as we are wise. So everything in Sufism you're gonna get to know is bit it's working a bit differently from how we think and how we think it works. So then there is another form of love. The love of self is the lowest form of love, and then there's another form of love which is the love of people, love for people, love for the place where you live, love for the people around you, love for the objects, love for art, love for um, the experiences which you get through the things. That's also a form of love, and this form of love is higher than the form of love of self, of incomplete self, of fraction of self which we think we are, which we think we completely are. So ये जो form of love है ना, the love of people, it is a higher form of love because इस form of love पे आके आपको पता लगता है कि there is much more than our identity, than our self-made identity of ours. There is much more into this world, and there is much more into this this world which is around us and in these experiences. इसमें इस उससे बहुत बढ़ के है जितना हम समझते हैं इसमें है. So the love of people and the love of object, what the love of objects gives us. And there is another thing, like each and every stage of love has its own pros and its own cons. अब जो फर्स्ट फॉर्म ऑफ लव है, द लव ऑफ सेल्फ, इसके कुछ फायदे भी हैं. When you love yourself, you come to know that you are not just that what you are, and only then you can go on the higher stage of love, which is the love for people around you. And even this ego of yourself tells you that how much more you are. क्योंकि ईगो जो होती है वो तो हमेशा यही समझाती है ना कि तुम वो हो जो तुम नहीं हो, तुम बड़े हो, यू आर हायर. एंड देयर इज अ पॉइंट, देयर कम्स द पॉइंट व्हेन यू रियलाइज कि वाकई में मैं कुछ बड़ा हूँ इससे, मैं कुछ ज़्यादा हूँ इससे. And then you go on to the next stage of living things around you, living people around you. I think I'm on this second stage of love, me as a person. I love things around me, people around me. Log, shorogul. That's a beautiful life. Nowadays, I'm thinking like it, but I don't know for how long I'm gonna think like this. So, the second stage of love is also a very important stage in love, because if this is the stage which got missed, तो इसके बाद की स्टेज तक आप कभी नहीं पहुंच पाएंगे और इससे पिछली स्टेज पर ही हमेशा रहेंगे जहां पर हमारे यहाँ बहुत से लोग रहते हैं. Most of the people who want power, most of the people who want to get each and everything around them, most of the people who are not ready to change their self are on the first stage of love. And sometimes I've seen लोग इसी तरीके से पूरी की पूरी ज़िंदगी गुजार देते हैं और पूरी की पूरी ज़िंदगी को इसी एक स्टेज में कैद रहकर ख़त्म कर देते हैं. And then after this, there comes another whole level of love, that is the love of sacred realities, including messengers, revealed books, saints, sacred art, and so forth. This is the form of love which is higher than the love of people. But it doesn't mean कि आपने अगर एक form of love से दूसरे form of love के ऊपर shift कर लिया है